Okay, welcome back to the podcast. Just make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to jump right into it here and enjoy. Appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. If you just want to maybe introduce yourself a little bit, tell a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Elin. At the minute I'm 20 and I'm a media marketing student at uni currently. So fitness is kind of just a little bit of a hobby for me and something to do on the side. It's basically something that I do in my spare time a lot because with like uni, it's something that gets rid of the stress. So yeah.
What motivates you to train?
I feel like it's more of a personal thing of like getting myself both like physically and mentally stronger. And that's the way that kind of motivates me to go to the gym every day. I also quite like having a routine. So the fact I have something to do in the mornings kind of gets me up and I know that I've got the gym to go to and then I can start the rest of my day. So it's kind of just making myself better mentally and physically. So the benefits of getting stronger is obviously a bonus, but it is all about like that, like mental health and like mentally stronger.
Yeah. How have you seen your mental strength and mental health improve since you started working out?
It seems like it's definitely improved a lot. I seem to like not be so anxious or like stressed out about things because I know that it's going to get done, and I kind of like get rid of that stress through lifting weights or doing a bit of cardio. It seems to definitely help me like get rid of that load in like a kind of a mental way. So like I use just the lifting as a way to like lift off the stress and like ease it.
So do you prefer the weights more or the cardio side more?
I'm definitely a weights person. Like I like cardio to a certain extent, but I find that I'm a lot more comfortable doing weights. I just find that that's my like preferred kind of workout. But I will do cardio on the side, but it's a lot more like CrossFit styled cardio.
Gotcha.
Rather than just running.
Right. So you mentioned CrossFit. Is that kind of how you do your weights, or do you only use that really for your cardio side?
It's a bit of a mix. So I like mix it up a little bit with just conventional like lifting, or then I'll do like a couple of CrossFit styled workouts within the week. It's kind of just a bit of changing it up so I don't get bored, and I like a bit of a challenge, and I feel like the CrossFit style workouts really do give me a bit of a challenge and motivate me to like push harder.
Yeah. I haven't done the CrossFit thing personally, but I know a few people that are into it, and
Yeah.
they're in such good shape just because it is a good combination of the strength side and the cardio side.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of them ones that like really exhausts you out, but like you feel so good after doing it because it's just something different and it's a lot more unconventional to like just lifting weights like every day. It's very like weightlifting kind of Olympic lifting kind of style.
Right.
So you have got to get used to the ways lifting and obviously the different grips and the different complexes that it have. So it is quite complex as such, but it is one of them ones that you can, once you're into it, you kind of build up and then you kind of just get confident in doing it.
What do you find yourself struggling with on your healthy journey?
Definitely the nutrition side for me, especially with being back at uni, because obviously living by myself and obviously not my parents cook for me. I find myself like struggling to keep in the healthy habits that I've built up over the years. And even though I have been doing it for a fair while, I still find myself slipping into like the ideas of going out and eating not like cleanly throughout the week and then just kind of snacking or not eating enough, eating too little is a bit of a deal with me. So I do find that I need to keep myself on track a lot.
Yeah.
And make sure that I'm balancing everything out because obviously everything should be balanced rather than all one or all nothing. It's definitely a lot of like trial and error I find as well. With nutrition, it's so important to get it right. And it's a lot of work to make sure that you're balancing everything out and making sure that you're staying on top of it, especially if you're not cooking for yourself. That could be a struggle. But then obviously like when you are cooking for yourself, what you're eating, how much your portions are, whether they're too much or too little. It's just all about like trying to balance it out, which I find like to be difficult even now.
So are you tracking your macros or your calories or how do you do that?
At the minute I am, yeah, because I'm on a nutrition plan. So I have a coach sorting that out for me. So that's helping me get back on track. Beforehand, I would usually just be horrific at it, but I would try to use like MyFitnessPal to kind of keep an eye on it, not using it like to the point of being obsessive, but using it just to aid and make sure that I'm keeping on track with like the proteins and the fat intakes and things like that. once you kind of get an idea of what you need for your body particularly, you kind of can gauge it, and without the need of like any nutrition on like the MyFitnessPal app, you can kind of gauge what you need, which is a good thing, because then you kind of know what your body wants and what your body doesn't. I feel like it's super important, especially if you're not too sure about the macros. That's why I do sometimes get help with my nutrition. That's why I've got a nutrition plan at the moment, so that I know especially what's going on for my body and what's needed, not what someone else needs as such. Because I could just follow like a diet and that might not be for me specifically. So having something personalized to me is definitely something I need.
Yeah. And is what you're using right now, is that very specific down to each meal? Does it leave you some freedom? Like, what does that look like, what you're using right now?
It is very free for myself, in terms of I can pick what I want to eat for each meal. There are like guides of what I could cook, but it's just mainly just a shopping list, and then the calorie guides and the macros for me. So it's quite like nice to have something that's personalized to me for my body, and it's very personal to me, but it's also got leeway for me to choose what I want to eat in the days. So I can pick something one day and I can have something completely different the next day, but still be on plan.
Yeah, I think that freedom is very important for a lot of people. You know, some people like the structure, but I think freedom gives somebody the chance to learn a little bit, and also gives them the responsibility, so it makes them feel like, hey, I'm doing this and I'm not, somebody's not telling me I have to do it.
Yeah.
But I think also it helps somebody not get burnt out. Whenever you have the decision to kind of eat what you want in a way and when you want to eat it, it's definitely a lot easier on your taste buds, at least, to say, this is kind of like what I'm craving right now in a way. So it kind of takes some of that craving away, could take some of that missing some food away.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have something that's personalized for me, but it also gives me like the leeway to choose what I want to do with it. So it's nice to have the information put on for me and sorted for me, and then I can choose what I do with it, and then what I can have on the day. Yeah.
So you use a program for your nutrition. Do you use anything specific for your training, your workouts?
So I just train at the moment. I just train myself. I do sometimes put it on like the Gymshark app, because they have like a thing where you can build your own plans. I do try to put my like splits on there, but it usually just ends up in me just writing them in my notes. But I tend to work out about 5 to 6 times a week. There's also a cardio split with that. I usually do about 2 times a week of cardio. One would be like more of like a functional fitness, so that will be where the CrossFit kind of goes in. And then obviously including like the push and pull sessions, and then my leg sessions as well in there.
Nice. Do you find that you enjoy a certain day of your split more than the other?
Definitely leg day. I feel like that's just a personal preference. I just love leg day because I feel stronger on my lower half than my upper half. Although I am building up with my upper body at the moment. That's where I'm trying to get more confident or more strength in. I do love like a leg day. It's just the best day for me personally. It's definitely like good to have something to work towards as well. So like with where I'm doing like leg days, I don't see as much progress in terms of like strength because I'm already kind of there. But with like upper body, I see a lot more progress and see myself challenging myself and pushing myself a lot more, which I quite like a challenge, especially when I'm training.
Do you have anything that you like to do that's not necessarily in the gym?
Yes, so I play hockey at the moment, so I play field hockey. Obviously with everything that's going on, we haven't been able to train, but that's usually something that I do that's aside, that's kind of still involved in fitness, but it's something that's I go towards certain goals in my training, but when I'm like playing hockey, it's kind of a bit more for like fun and a little bit more of enjoyment. Stuff like that just seems to be like a nice little break. I do like to go for like walks and stuff as well. I feel like that's really important for myself because it's something that I'm getting active and I feel good for doing it, but it's not something that's like pushing me too hard, and it's something that I can just like deload out of. Definitely the bit as well where you're like with people, because like sometimes in the gym it's very difficult to like, if you go with someone, it's very difficult to talk to them or train with them per se, whereas if you're playing an actual sport, you have to communicate with people, And I feel like that kind of builds up your social aspects of fitness, making it a little bit more enjoyable.
So you just mentioned going to the gym with somebody. Do you prefer going with somebody, or do you prefer going by yourself and kind of getting in your own, like putting your headphones on and doing something by yourself?
I'm definitely a person that likes to go to the gym alone, purely for the fact that I like to have my music on. If I don't have my music on, I can't train. So I feel like I'm definitely that person that goes into the gym with like their headphones on and just doesn't look at anyone
Yeah.
or doesn't like talk to anyone, but it just really helps me concentrate and get done what I need to get done. My headphones are like my barrier in the gym, and I'm just like, this is what I need to get done and this is how I'm going to do it. And then the music just helps me get it going.
Yeah. I mean, even there's sometimes when I either forget my headphones or they're not charged or something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a terrible workout. And, you know, I still go through and I do it, but there's just somehow it just feels like it could have been a little bit better if I had that music there to push me a little bit harder. We talked a little bit, you know, about nutrition a little earlier. Is that something that you've thought about for a while now?
So definitely, I feel like it is like a stigma around women, and they need the fact that they need to keep an eye on what they're eating in a way. I've always kind of thought that when I was younger, that I need to like keep track of what I'm eating like constantly. So as I've like grown up and got into fitness in more of like a healthier way, I've realized that I need to like keep an eye on it. That's not like obsessive or like hindering myself or stopping myself from going out per se to eat something. I've just really discovered that I need to like look at it in a positive way. And if I need help to do that, that's how I'm going to like go about it and have someone help me with it. So then it's not like a journey that I'm trying to like struggle through, because I feel like if I'm struggling with something, I just need to like get it sorted. I feel like going through it in a positive way, in like a healthy way, without like cutting everything out, is the way that I like to go around it personally. Because I feel like some people do think that they have to eat like certain foods and they can't eat anything else, which is not strictly not the case. You can enjoy yourself and still like eat like quite a clean diet.
In my opinion, it's more important to think about what we should be eating and what we should be adding instead of what we should be cutting.
Yeah, it's like very like, I don't know, sometimes with like diet culture, it can be quite a toxic environment per se, if it's telling you to do stuff in a way that's not right. Especially with like a lot of things where they're like cut out carbs are bad, and I feel like people are like scared of carbs when that shouldn't be the case. And definitely like, I feel like people do feel like they're ashamed to get help if they need help from like a professional nutritionist.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it shouldn't be the case. You should just be able to like go and get help when you need it. And that's not a bad thing to have help. That's like a good thing to show that you're actually taking control of what you're eating.
Do you find yourself, you know, struggling with package kind of misconceptions at all?
I definitely used to. I'm not so bad now, especially now that obviously that I'm getting help with the culture as well. I do find that I used to be, especially when I was younger, like proper like looking for the bad things and everything, and be like looking at, oh my, these have got so much calories in them, or they're saying that these are high in sugars, whereas they're not necessarily a bad thing. It's just some things that you can have more of in your diet and some things you should have less of in your diet. But I do find it's very like there's so many misconceptions, especially with like packaging and marketing, where they try to sell you something. It's the same with like all the like some of the influencers that try and sell you like the diet teas and all these things. I feel like there's a lot of stigma around this now, and people are just trying to promote the bad things in diet to get money, whereas that shouldn't be the way that it should be.
Do you find that social media has helped you out, or been more of a hindrance to your own health and fitness?
With my personal Instagram, I feel like my fitness journey's grown a lot through showing it online, and I feel like I've gained a lot more confidence showing the things that I've done, or like the mistakes that I've made in my like fitness journey and the highs and the lows. I tend to only surround myself online with people that I think are like positive influences, and try and keep away from the kind of like toxic nature social media can be, because there's sides where you see all like the adverts that are promoting things to like make you lose weight, to make you skinny. I feel like that is a lot of like, that's just negativity that people don't need. But then there are sides of the Instagram and like any social media that is positive, and people do promote a positive like mindset on fitness. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So there's good bits and there's bad bits. There's definitely like a lot of things on social media that can be negative, but there is a lot of positive sides. Like, I do feel like the fitness community in general is quite a positive environment to be around, and it is kind of more of a community rather than social media and people plugging you and like buying things. It's more about people's progress and growth rather than trying to make you buy things. Personally, I'd only ever work with a brand that I know, that I love and I trust, whereas sometimes on social media people can just work with brands for the money, which kind of brings out the negativity when it's not really all about ads. It should be about people's journeys, and building people up rather than trying to sell them stuff for your own gain. It's all about finding like the right balance with it, where you find the people that you were following bring out the better in you rather than bringing you down and being like, oh, well, I don't look like that. Why don't I look like that? Or kind of just being like, oh, well, they're only just promoting things because they want to promote them and they don't care about me. Whereas if you find the accounts that actually truly like promote body positivity or show you actual helpful information about your training and your nutrition, that's where social media can actually benefit you as a person.
What goals do you have? What do you see yourself trying to accomplish or accomplishing, through the rest of the year?
I definitely want to work on my upper body. That's a big part. Kind of get my upper body on par with my strength on my legs, so that I've kind of got that balance of fitness and I feel all rounded. It's just mainly kind of keeping a positive spin on everything as well, especially with what's going on at the moment. It's just keeping that positivity going, especially with training, keeping it going, keeping my routine, and just making sure that everything's just benefiting me in a positive way rather than bringing anything down that's negative. So just keeping on top of my training, my nutrition, anything like that. As long as it's keeping like a positive mindset and keeping me like mentally happy as well as physically, that's kind of a big part of what I want to do for the rest of the year. I'm all about keeping a routine and keeping it for like sustainable growth rather than getting like absolutely insane growth the 1 month and then absolutely dropping in the next. It's just all about like keeping that progress steady and consistent. Getting up and doing it is a big achievement in itself. So like, it's a lot of things that people get down because they don't see like the progress that they want to, but it's the actual fact if you're doing something for yourself and making them positive changes that should be applauded anyway, rather than the weight on the scales or how much you're lifting. It should just be about yourself and your own personal growth. Definitely not an easy journey, but it's something that you can make really positive changes out of, not just physically but also mentally as well. It is a lot of like a way to like break out of the stress. That's what I find anyway.
Do you have any advice for women who are just getting into their health and fitness and they're kind of not knowing where to go, who are kind of how to start? What advice would you have for somebody like that?
I definitely think it's so important to be positive about yourself and how you are, because people seem to like want to be someone else, and you shouldn't be like striving to be like someone else. You should be striving to better yourself for yourself, rather than trying to look good for Instagram or trying to look good because you think other people will like you more. I definitely think that just starting out in the fitness journey, especially for women, don't be afraid to like step out of your comfort zone. Like, lifting weights is a really empowering thing, especially for women. I feel that if you are lifting weights and you're lifting heavy, you kind of proving people wrong that you can do things. And I just think it's super important just to keep that like positive mindset and do it for yourself, rather than trying to get something that you might not be able to achieve. Because I'm all about just like doing fitness for the side that you do get physical improvements, obviously, but keeping that like body positivity and knowing that your body is completely different to someone else's, but that's okay. And the fitness should just be there to enhance what you've already got, rather than trying to hide away from something that you want to like get rid of. I do feel like with women as well, it's a lot of thing about trying to change your body rather than doing fitness to be stronger. And I think it's just really important to keep in mind the goals that you actually want, rather than trying to strive for perfection. You should just strive to be better for yourself, or like try and get stronger, or just trying to be fitter in general, rather than trying to focus on like the materialistic way of looking at it, being like, oh well, I look good physically. But it should be all about like improving yourself mentally as well, rather than just striving for the looks aspect of it.
I think that's good advice. The doing it for yourself.
I feel like it is definitely all about like keeping that body positivity, because so many people just think that they have to look one way when that's not the case. You can be all different types of body shapes and still be so physically strong and healthy. And I just feel like people need reminded of that, especially in like this day and age where we kind of need to be a bit more inclusive, and just proving to yourself that you can do it is a massive step.
Completely agree. Thank you again for coming on.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. So, as always, subscribe to the podcast. Stay tuned for future episodes. Find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, review, comment, do all the stuff. Interact with us. You can find us on Instagram. You can find me at daniel.personaltraining. For now, see ya, peace, bye, and guten Tag.